Democrats in general are looking to pick up many seats in the next election. It's about building a governing coalition. I'm wondering how you go about building a governing coalition with a party where you have a large number of people moving further to the left, and how do you go forward to do more than just oppose the president?
Okay, I'm happy to answer that. Does anybody have any question about the serious matters of the day? A Supreme Court decision that does violence to the First Amendment, a Supreme Court decision that undermines the rights of working people.
Well, that was House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi not addressing a direct question about her party following the upset win of 28-year-old Democratic socialist over a 10-term senior member of the House and heir apparent. My panel now to discuss: Lee Carter, GOP communication strategist; Jillian Melchior, editorial page writer for the Wall Street Journal; and Amber Athey, reporter from the Daily Caller. Amber, let me start with you. I got to tell you, I watched a lot of videos last night with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she was hitting on these notes that I think are sort of reflective of people who are frustrated on the both sides of the aisle. And I felt this election was a wholesale rejection of the establishment, of the Nancy Pelosi's of the world. And I think both sides of the elite establishments better wake up and better stop avoiding the hard questions, because they're going to keep coming.
I think that's true. And what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was talking about were very lofty ideals about making the middle class's lives better. Of course, when you dig in, she's actually a full-blown socialist. But in terms of the rejection of the establishment, Joe Crowley didn't even really campaign in the district. He had a bunch of money left over. He brushed off his opponent entirely. And I think Nancy Pelosi's reaction here is essentially bitterness from the fact that there are factions in her party that wish to take her out of leadership, that wish to see the party shift towards progressivism, that hope to attract that young millennial vote that is actually very amenable to socialist policies. And the Democrats have to reckon with the fact that they need to decide if they're going to embrace that shift and try to attract those millennial voters, or if they're going to stay establishment like they are now.
Jillian, I think the Democrats are going to stay establishment as long as Nancy Pelosi's in charge. In fact, I know there was something swirling around to make it, you have to be a Democrat to even run for the Democratic nominee. Obviously, a shot directly aimed at Bernie Sanders, who's independent technically.
Sure, but even in the Pennsylvania race, Connor Lamb, a relatively centrist Democrat, you saw him taking the shots at Nancy Pelosi. So I think there is a vulnerability. I'll also point out, I think that what she capitalized on is growing discontent, particularly within urban areas, particularly with people of color, surrounding the Democratic Party. They feel like they've put a lot of votes up, and they're not getting a lot in return. So I think that's a dynamic we have to look at here.
Well, they should be frustrated with that, because they have put a lot of votes up, and they've gotten squat in return. I mean, New York City, you got 400,000 black and brown people in public housing, and they've had a scandal for a decade: rats, roaches, mold, broken elevators, 80-year-old women having to walk 20 flights. They don't care about them. Maybe they will wake up. It's unfortunate that the idea is that socialism is the answer, but I'm glad that there's an awakening there. Are you starting to see it reflected in the numbers?
What I'm starting to see, though, is not so much that there's a move towards socialism. What I'm seeing race by race is the person who has a message, the person who is for something, the person who is promising the people something that they can take a hold of is the one who's winning. The one who's losing is the one who's saying resist, who's going along with business as usual. And I think that that's what we just saw in upstate New York. I don't think that this is going to be any kind of a trend that we're going to say now we're going to have a socialist wave. I think we're just going to see a Democratic Party that needs to get its message together and figure out what they stand for, not what they stand against.
No, I think there's an anti-establishment wave, which means sometimes it'll be a Trump candidate, sometimes it'll be a Bernie candidate, and I think Italy is the perfect test bed for that. Look who's sharing the government right now there. Socialists and arch conservatives, and that's coming to America. It already started. Amber, here's the thing, though, and I think, and what Lee said, I think is really important, because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she rarely ever mentioned Donald Trump. All she talked about is what she would do. She ran as herself. And again, if you're running along the Nancy Pelosi line, you heard how she answered this question. She went back to talking points.
That's right. People are really fed up with the Democratic Party only being the anti-Trump party only being the hashtag resist party. They want to hear a cohesive message. That's something that the Democrats as a whole have failed to deliver. They failed to deliver in 2016. They're failing to deliver in the midterm elections. And they're going to have to figure out what exactly that message is. And it can't just be a ripped off Papa John's slogan, better jobs, better pizza. It has to be something real and tangible that voters can take to the ballot box with them. Otherwise, they're going to have a complete failure again.
Well, I'll throw out a suggestion. Free stuff, but this time we mean it. All right, ladies, thank you all very much.